Hello, everyone, and welcome back to In God We Trust podcast. It's Friday again, so we have another guest speaker, and today it is Samuel Fischer. And Sam has his own Instagram account, also Facebook account, and he is a mindset coach, and he helps you create a structure in your life and live a more fulfilled life. So if this sounds interesting to you and you would like to check him out and learn more, I would highly recommend that. And all you have to do is look up Samuel Fischer on Facebook or Instagram, and how you spell it is Samuel. Fischer is Fischer. Samuel Fischer. Okay, well, here he is.
Thanks for having me on, Levi. Thanks for the introduction. And I'm Sam. Me and Levi grew up together and been working with him on his farm last 2 summers. Now we're living together, and he's going to college, and I'm just working right now, but we've been living together for a little while.
All right, well, we wrote down some little notes for him to answer. Okay, so the first question is, when did you really experience God?
When did I? When I was younger?
Yeah, or just like come to like, not like experience, but when did you actually like try to get closer to him and like have that relationship?
Well, I went to Catholic church and went to school for like 6 years, or up to 6th grade, I should say. And it was kind of just normal to have God in our lives. But after that, when we weren't going to school for church or at the Catholic church, then it was kind of on our own to make that decision to come closer to God. And so I feel like really just this past year or two is when I have come the most close to God, and every day I feel like I'm working on coming closer with Him.
Do you think that your relationship with God is based on you or God leading you towards that? Or was that a step that you had to take to get closer with Him?
I think God gives us the free will to choose what we want to do, and I think obviously there's many ways that God's been working in my life, so it was kind of just evident to me, and then it was kind of my free will choice to continue to pursue Him, and as I've continued to pursue Him, I've seen the good that's come out of it, and so I think God's always working in our lives, but as people, we need to take that step towards Him, and I think we've been kind of working both ways, working together recently.
Yeah, that's true for sure. The main purpose for this podcast is for people to hear that experience of others and how God can truly work through their lives. And with anyone listening right now, Sam he's one of the hardest working guys I know, and I feel like his relationship with God has driven him to want to achieve more and just take that next step. And I don't know, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I see it honestly in both of us, because I think that our relationship with God, since it continues to deepen, we're becoming more aware of the path that God has kind of started to lay out for us. I mean, obviously it's step by step. It is kind of can seem foggy at times, but as we continue to trust God, I think me and Levi are continuing to become more aware of really the journey that God has placing out for us, and it continues to deepen our faith and our relationship with Him.
That's one thing that people don't see really, is the journey that people have to go through, and it's taken me a long time to actually get closer with God and put in that work to tell Him, like, hey, like I would rather have a life where I know and understand You than just be living for nothing. And I had to put in a lot of time in reading the Bible, and I knew that I couldn't do it alone. So if anyone's listening right now and you don't really understand the Bible that well, or you get a little confused, you just ask God to help you understand His words, and that is a prayer that I really think He will answer, because it's something that would get you closer to Him and not like greed or anything with worldly items. It's your long-term eternal life, and that's just something that would definitely help if you ask Him to help you, because you can't do it alone.
I think you make a good point, because you said kind of you were looking for more than just worldly pleasures, and I think that's a life that we're both trying to pursue, a life of purpose versus just pleasure. The idea of making that sacrifice to God now, and in the long run, He's going to make a deal with us, and in the future, He's going to provide for us. And it's that idea of long-term purpose, and honestly, the idea of Levi serving you guys, and honestly, just serving other people in the world.
One small thing can go a long way. If you just plant that seed in someone's mind of God and how He can impact you, and you just spread His word by the slightest thing, it can go a long, long way. And I hope that sometime you guys try experiencing that, and I think it might just be a breakthrough for you guys.
I think you make another good point there, and I also think that through ourselves, people can start to tell when you are happier, you're healthier, all these things, and then they kind of can start to understand maybe there's something else. I mean, obviously they're putting in the work, but there's something else working in their lives, and they start to see Jesus and God working in other people's lives, and it really can be inspiring.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, we're going to just get another topic here. What is some advice you can give to people that don't know what to do?
You mean with God?
With God and with life.
My advice...
Here, before we start this, tell them what you want to do with your podcast and with your whole coaching thing.
So I'm working on becoming, I know for sure, just a mindset coach, overall mindset coach, and working to help people find what their true values and their real identity is, and what honestly their real purpose is in life. And so that's what I'm working towards. And I'm going to be starting a podcast and posting videos about that, and hopefully working with people in coaching soon. But some advice I would give would be, honestly, you need to just start asking yourself more questions. When you ask yourself more questions, you kind of become more aware of your values and your identity. And when you can really start to shape and mold your values, it helps form your identity. And when you have good values, good morals, a good identity, you start to become that person, and you continue to do better and become better. And honestly, that's all through God.
Yeah. One thing I've heard is, if you want to become someone that is successful, you have to do what someone that is successful does, because it's not going to just happen overnight, and you're not going to just get lucky, because you're going to have to put in that work. And it's something that people think that they can get. Well, I guess it's really just, I feel like our generation is very used to the instant gratification. Yep. I know we've talked about it before, but it's with cell phones. And one piece of advice I could give for you guys is to get off your phones and just go live your life, because phones are like a little death trap. And when you get on it, they're designed to suck you in more, and just they want to have you locked on there. So just get off your phone and just go live your life, and you'll really start to experience a change.
Yeah, it's much more freeing when you don't have social media. I've deleted my social media, besides now I got it back for doing my coaching stuff. But when I didn't have it, I had noticed I was spending way less time on my phone, and I started utilizing the internet as a source for learning now. And I'm using YouTube and the internet for just a greater purpose than scrolling mindlessly all day.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna keep these little topics rolling. I guarantee that Sam and I could sit here and talk for hours on end, like for a full day, but we're gonna try to keep to like 45 minutes to an hour here. So, how do you think demons and the devil are affecting our lives?
I think that's a really good question, and I think that they're affecting our lives all the time, or the devil's working in our lives, trying to work in our lives all the time, and even in the smallest things, like it's obvious he's working when you're going to, commit a crime or something like that. But like the smallest ways, telling little white lies is one thing I've learned to become more aware of. It's like we steal something small and we say, oh, that's all right. It's just something small. Like it really doesn't matter. But we're making our lies and our making things seem like they're okay when we're doing wrong. And I think that's a way that, just a small way, but the devil is working in our lives like that, just when we don't even notice it.
Yeah, and it made me think of a thought. So when I think of the devil and demons, I think of when your thoughts are getting to you and you think like you're just getting anxiety. Like your anxiety is really building up and you don't know what to do. You don't everyone knows what I'm talking about. You're just stressed out. And it makes me think of when Jesus was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And then he went up into the mountain and the devil tempted him with 3 different things. I can't remember all 3, but I'm looking for it right now. But what he said was, devil, get behind me. And then the devil fled from him. So if you guys are ever really stressed out, that is the devil putting those thoughts in your head. And he's trying to tear you down and just put weight on your shoulders. So if you say, devil, get behind me, like literally speak those words, because the devil and demons are so real. And if you say that, that's showing you have God in your mind. And another thing is, if you say the name of Jesus, they will flee because he has won the battle.
I think that's a good point too, because it's so true when you're kind of inflicted with negative thoughts and negative emotions. It can be, in a good way, a learning experience from your negative side of things, but when you are thinking bad thoughts, I should say, that is the devil working, and you don't have God in your mind and in your heart, and that's something we need to all of us continue to work for all the time, because when we're more aware of God in our lives, we're just better people in general.
When you have God on your mind, you just don't get upset about things you'd normally get upset about. That's what I've found that out, and it's true.
Yeah, I feel like just practicing, even when I get down about things, I just practice saying some things I'm thankful for, and it just releases just the good feeling that God is really working in our lives. It's like everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, it's just one small thing can change the whole attitude.
Yep.
Okay, the next one is, do you know what the fruit of the Spirit is?
No, I do not.
The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gratefulness, gentleness.
Fruits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not positive if this is a set verse, but I'm 99% sure that we can ask God for the fruit of the Spirit at all times, and he will give it to us. Because all those things, love, joy, peace, patience, all those are gentle and something that would be like Jesus. It just seems like if we're ever upset or anything, we could just ask for that, and then it'll switch our attitude. I feel like people just forget everything all the time, and I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I would like to say that I think the fruits of the Spirit are like the morals and the morals that we should strive for in our lives. Like, those are great values to have, to value peace, to value joy. What are a few of the other ones? Honesty. I think awareness is one of them. Love.
Gratefulness, gentleness, self-control.
Yeah, God is showing us the fruits that we can bear, and these fruits come from a tree, but you don't just get fruits from a tree. You got to grow the tree. You got to grow the seed, grow the tree, continue to nourish and take care of the tree, and that, in a sense, is us ourselves. We can eventually bear these fruits when we nurture our tree, we nurture ourselves, we grow ourselves, we continue to get better, and then when we value these fruits, they begin to show in our lives, and I think they're great ways to live our lives.
When I find myself upset and I'm stressed out, and I ask God for that, I can really tell a difference. So sometime if you guys are upset, you should definitely just try it. But here's some things that I do for sure. When I'm upset and just by myself, I've thought of the fruit of the Spirit before, but I just haven't really asked for it because I feel like I just want to be mad for some reason. Like, you're just mad at that time, and it's like, there's just something about anger that...
It's just easier.
Yeah, there you go. That's well said. When I do that, it rubs off on other people, and then eventually it just comes back to me again. So I've always just found it easier to just switch up your mind right away, and then it always works out in the end.
Yeah, it's a lot better in the long run when you got to let it go. And I mean, it's really not worth it, but it's easier to sit there and sit in self-pity than to realize that maybe we were at fault, or maybe there is good that can come out of it, even though it doesn't seem like it at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations where I get mad, but it's always just to make you stronger. So that's what I think of. That's
a good point. You mentioned that the other day, that you were praying for God to strengthen you, and then I said that prayer, and I think it's a great prayer to pray because honestly, you're asking God to test you, and if you're asking God to test you and He you look for it, there you can find ways in which He's testing you, and you can really continue to grow yourself.
Tell them the story about the atheist in the boat.
This story is kind of a story about perspective and the perspective we have on lives, in our lives. So, I mean, when something happens to you, there's usually people who take one side of there's always two seats. There's two people viewing it. You're maybe viewing the same situation, but you're in different seats. Like, you're seeing it in a different way. Same situation, but you're perceiving it in a different way. So this is a story about a priest and an atheist talking, and the atheist was telling the priest that he was out in sea and that his boat sunk, or he jumped off his boat and he couldn't get back to it, and he was all stranded out in sea, and he was praying for God to save him. And so he kept praying or whatever, and then the priest said, "So what happened?" And the atheist said, "Some people came and saved me." And so then the priest said, "Well, there you go. God came and He saved you." The atheist argued, "No, God didn't save me. People saved me." And so it's it's a cool take on just how different everyone's perspective is. And I think this is something we have to get better at, including myself, and it's just understanding that people have had completely different situations and circumstances than you. And so their perception on life is maybe completely different than yours, and things like that. And so we need to become better at not forcing our differences on each other or what we believe. It's just kind of realizing we have differences and understanding kind of the beauty in the differences, and that's what should ultimately make us closer.
Yeah, when I think of that story, I think of just how atheists don't take those life experiences as God because they don't believe in Him. But if they would just look on the Christian side of things and how that is God working, then I think they would definitely experience that. But I've said this a few times before. I think everyone just consciously knows there's a God because we use like 2% of our brain. So that just shows how dumb we are, and there's no way that any of this could happen without an alpha, and that is God.
Yeah, I agree. That's just what I perceived, obviously, and that's what we both have come to learn and believe. But some people have just had completely different experiences, and they just don't see through the same lens as us.
Yeah.
But I think they're ultimately missing out on a more purposeful life by not believing in God.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for them. Well, I do feel bad for them, but it's on their side of things. They need to get right with themselves and just humble themselves before God and be like, okay, like I believe in you, but I just don't understand you. And I think they would have a little bit of a breakthrough, but it's just weird.
But it's kind of cool that God gave us the free will to have that choice.
Yeah.
That's what I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows that He wants us to consciously choose Him. he doesn't want to force anything on us. Like, that's how loving he is.
Why was it weird to talk about God when we were younger? Not weird, but it just kind of weird. Not, you know what I'm saying? It just wasn't, like, if someone talked about God, I wouldn't, like, openly be like, oh, like, hey, oh, yeah. But now I would. And I feel like it's still weird for some people to talk about God. Why do you think that is?
Well, this is the way, I was reading something about this, and it goes the same for politics. It's because at family Christmas, let's say, or Thanksgiving, you're supposed to not talk about politics and
at the table.
Politics and religion is just what people say, but that is because people have formed such strong opinions about it that anyone else's opinion that contradicts theirs, they get defensive about. And so it's not the idea of God or politics or anything like that. It's just the fact that people have become so wired to what they believe that they don't seek anything else besides what they want to hear. And so that's why ultimately I think it's hard to talk about God, because you have some people that are so faith-driven, they believe they wouldn't be anything without God, and they're going to stick with that. And then there's people who, like we said, the atheists or people that don't believe in God. There's just two very strong beliefs towards that. Yep. So that's why I feel like it's a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah, when you said those two side of things, I won't say the teacher, but I was talking with my teacher about politics, and he was talking about how if you like spread out your hands and it's just the right and left, all we hear is our hands talking, and that is the extremists on both sides. All we hear is Trump going at it, and then I guess we don't hear from Biden because he doesn't say much. But you guys know what I'm talking about. There's extremists on both sides, and a lot of people are just right in the center of the chest, right where your heart is, because they don't really want to get into it because they know that some people don't want to talk about it, and it's a touchy subject for them. So it's pretty good because a lot of people are like really close to that middle point, and they just don't really know anything. But I feel like we need to have better education on politics, and that's on side of things where it's not the extremists on both sides, but like a mid-range on both.
Yeah, I think also, though, it's just hard because, we're all so guilty of it, and we've just, even me and you have been fed into it. Like, we're around a group of guys who believe what we believe about politics and faith, potentially, who believe what we believe, and then at work there's a group of guys who believe what we believe in politics. It's all the same. We're just constantly feeding into each other of what we want to hear and what we believe. And so we're all guilty of it, but in a sense, like when you hear about anything on the other side, even if it's true, but it's hard to know if it's true, like it's like we just push it away. We don't want to hear it because we only want to hear what we believe because it's easier that way, psychologically.
Yeah. So that made me think of looking on both ways, because it's the same thing with a relationship. When you have a girlfriend,
yep,
you have to think of her side of things, and you have to be respectful. And that made me think of I've been studying up on my apologetics, and that is defending your faith. And one thing is you have to look at both sides of things, and so you have to actually listen to those questions about God, like who created God, like just everything. You have to just know how to answer those questions. So you have to actually go and listen to the other side of things. And I think we just need to do that with everything, like even with politics, because you can, even if you have been wired to one side your entire life, like it won't hurt to just listen to the other side. And usually since you grew up that way, you will continue to have those thoughts, but just hearing the other side of things it's actually like listening to someone, and they usually have a point of view like no one else, like not like you. And I don't know, it's just try it for you guys listening. I'm not like trying to persuade you guys to go to one side or the other, but it's mainly on the God side of things. We need to be able to hear those tough questions, and we always need to be able to defend our faith.
You make a really good point, and I think that like you said, it goes for everything, because when you start asking questions and you dig a little deeper, you can start to find the truth. And then when you can start to find the truth, it's either going to deepen and strengthen that belief you have. But if it's the truth, then that's all right. But if it's you come to find what you thought was true before, but now this is what's really true, and you start moving in that direction, then that's a growth thing, and then ultimately a good thing, because you went more than surface level with it, and you either strengthen your beliefs or you realize you were wrong and that you needed to make a change.
Yeah, and when you find that the truth, well, I guess everyone has their own
truth.
Yeah, their own side of things.
Because what's really true.
It's the only thing that is really true is anything that's biblical, and that's the only thing we can rely on. But anything with politics, I don't know anything. But what was I talking about to start that out? When you do find your truth, like what you believe, then it just gives you that power with that, you know where your mind is, so then you can actually speak your mind and explain to others your side of things, and that's when you can actually open up a conversation with either God or politics.
And I think when you find what is true to you in your life, and you start living that out, that's when we really start to unlock our full potential. You're never going to be at your full potential, but you're going to unlock your ability to continue to grow in life when you find what really matters and you pursue that.
Yeah. Once you find what motivates you and just your little niche.
Yep.
Is that what they call it?
Yep, I like that word. Yeah.
Then you just have a motive, and it can, I don't know. But that made me think of waking up in the morning. I know that's a battle for people. Every night, I ask God, like, please wake me up in the morning. I'm really tired in the morning all the time. So if you guys ever can't get up, just try asking God, and maybe it'll work. I don't know. But here's one thing that I guess I can't really say a lot on it. I don't know. It's personal experiences. But when I honor God and obey His commands and actually respect Him and obey Him, that's when I can actually really feel God just helping me with everyday things. But when I'm living and I feel like I'm just like have my back turned towards Him a little bit, you don't experience Him like when you're actually obeying and listening to Him. Have you ever felt that?
Well, yeah, and I have a question for you. I would say there's states where, in what you're describing, you're saying, is that when you're at your best?
With God? With God
or with life? Or one or the other?
Yeah, with God.
When you're obeying Him completely?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I found that there's some... obviously, what you think is you at your best is going to be different than what I think is me at my best, but there's been times, I think, when I've been at my best, and you were saying you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I can just feel God working, and me being and working, continuing to work, almost becoming my best self in moments, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The person I ultimately strive to be.
Yeah. When you actually get that deep connection with God, it's like He gives you it's like a superpower. It really is.
It's consciousness.
Yeah. Then you know, like, if I actually want to pursue my dreams, I have to actually go and do it. And He will give you that superpower to actually go and do it. And it's pretty cool.
And I think that superpower is consciousness, because you're ultimately becoming more aware of the things around you, your own life. And as we become more aware, I think life it completely starts to change, and you become more conscious. I don't know. It's a really weird... You're more aware, and then I think God is just working in that consciousness. And that's why you're more aware, and you see the potential you have in life.
Yeah. That's good to end on that. We'll continue another topic. But yeah, that is so true. It is. Okay, the next one. Matthew 4:4. Do you think we get gains?
What is Matthew 4:4?
For the body does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God.
So,
I mean physical growth.
From working with God?
Or from
working
intaking God's word and reading the Bible.
I gotta think about that one. Like actual growth. I think that... Yeah. What I would say is yes, because when we're working with God, and from what I notice, when I'm very thankful and just spend time to thank God for what's happening in my life and what he's done and all the blessings he's given me, being thankful releases dopamine and serotonin in us, and that helps our body and builds up our immune system. So it's strengthening. I mean, that's just the way I see it and the way I've noticed in my life, but it's strengthening our immune system. So the Word of God and talking to God, in a sense, it's really strengthening us.
Yeah.
In two ways.
I think of Jesus fasting for 40 days. One time I just asked my dad, I was like, so was Jesus like the skinniest guy ever? And then he was like, I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't like to think of Jesus being this scrawny little guy, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like he was a beast walking around. He had to be.
I think he was a beast, but at the same time, I don't think Jesus cared about that.
Oh, yeah. But I think it just was like that, though.
The ideal, kind of just an alpha male.
He was the alpha male. He is the alpha male.
But he was and he didn't have to show it in a physical or angry sense.
Yeah, no.
He was the alpha man because of just his state of mind and how perfect he was.
Yeah. No. When I've been John and Matthew are both the Gospels, so that's Jesus dying on the cross. And throughout all of the pain that he went through, he was not even saying anything.
Yeah.
He just was taking it, all of it. And even when they were charging him and yelling at him, the only time that he really said something was when he gave up his spirit. And that's when he cried out. And that is giving up your thoughts, your mind, your soul.
And what he said was
Ali, Sabachthani.
Yeah. And he said, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what the...
the words that he did speak were just pure wisdom.
I'm going to read them to you guys. It's right here.
What, the forgive me, Father?
Yeah, but it's the version of whatever he said it in. The
Hebrew?
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's what it's translated in.
All right. I had to look it up to be able to say it. I just feel cool saying it. Ali, lama sabachthani. And that is, my God, why have you forsaken me? And that was when it was the first time that he was separated from God, because every sin was put on him. But before then, he was one with God.
Yeah. And
there was darkness on the earth from noon to 3. And I like to, I'm sure that this is what happened, but in that darkness, I picture all of our sins. That is when they came on him. And so I bet that was the worst moment of all of the pain that he went through. Because that was mentally. That wasn't physical. Because I'm sure it was, it obviously was awful. The crucifixion is the worst death ever. And when he was getting whipped.
The thorn.
Yeah.
Crown.
I bet that was the worst part for him, though, because it had to be. That's the only time that he screamed out and called out and said anything.
And it's all our sins ever. So it's our sins too. And when he says, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they're doing or whatever.
For they do not know what they do.
That's that's still relevant to us.
Mm-hmm.
He's bearing the sins we continue to commit, and he's saying, they do not know, we do not know.
Yep.
We're sinful people.
Yeah. With that, we'll lead into how can you truly believe?
By never stopping the questions. Continue to question, continue to just explore, and talk to God.
By question, you don't mean like test. Just
not test, but
learn. Try to learn.
Learn and question where God is working in your life. Okay, and try to just seek Him out more, because He's working in way more ways than we really notice. Yeah. That's how I've noticed I've become deep in my faith to truly believe, and it makes sense that there's a God to me. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like I couldn't. Yeah.
So there's a verse in Matthew that says if you have this belief, you can do the same with the tree. You remember that? The tree wither. We could do the same.
Oh, yeah.
We could throw
and
a mountain.
Mountains move. Yep.
Yeah, we could throw a mountain in the sea. You think we could ever get to that point?
No.
Why?
I don't know if we could ever get to that point. I don't know what. That is the ultimate faith, but I don't think. I don't know.
He said that we can, though.
That we can get to that point?
Well, he said if we believe.
But I think that the mountain serves a different purpose. It's not the idea that you're physically throwing a mountain. I think it's the idea of overcoming I don't know what the tree means, but maybe the idea of overcoming that mountain is when we're ultimately at our deepest belief, our deepest faith. We're overcoming that mountain in our own lives in ultimate pursuit of that sacrifice that we sacrifice up, and then God is blessing us because we believe, we put the work in. Yeah. That's what maybe I would think about it, but I don't know, with the tree. Because I don't know what the shriveling of the tree would represent.
I found the temptations of Jesus. He said, okay, sorry to interrupt.
No,
I'll look for it. Okay, so here are the three things that Jesus said to the devil. And he said this. This is when he was fasting. And he said, "It is written, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God." So the devil was tempting him with food and that bodily desire. I don't know if I said that right, but okay. And he said, "It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to test." And he said to throw him off the mountain and have the angels come catch him. And he said, "Do not test the Lord." And then he said one more thing. He showed him all the earth and said, "You can have all this if you just bow down to me." And he said, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." So that is what I was talking about. Devil, get behind me. But that's just what I say. Because I don't know. It's just my version.
It's just funny that he said, you can have the whole world if you
bow down to me.
Bow down to me, and that's exactly... I mean, when you fall into temptation, and that's what he was able to do with Adam and Eve. He said, you can have all the powers of God if you eat the fruit.
Yeah, what was that thing about Adam and Eve? Or do you have any takeaways that you could say, or do you not really?
I have a takeaway. There's a lot more to it, but in the broad, I would like to talk about it way deeper. But
we can do it sometime.
Yeah, but the overall gist, I'd say, is we ate the fruit. Ultimately, the fruit is before they were naked, and they didn't know they were naked, Adam and Eve. So they were not conscious to the idea that they were vulnerable. I'm bad at saying that word, but
there's just those certain words.
Yeah, they were not conscious of the fact they were naked, and then in the story it says, and then they realized they were naked, so obviously they weren't aware of that, they were unconscious of that, and then once they ate the fruit, they were aware they were naked. We were aware and self-conscious that we are naked and that we are vulnerable, and that ultimately, if we're aware of that, then we're aware that what hurts us, and then we're aware what hurts other people, so we can take advantage of other people, hurt them. And so the main takeaway was that the ultimate goal is to return to a state of unconsciousness, which is in a sense like paradise on earth. Before in heaven we're forever in paradise, but on earth, if you become aware enough of God working in your life, then you kind of return to this state where they were in before they were naked, where what you're doing is serving such a bigger purpose. That light of God is shining through you, and you're kind of in this unconscious earthly state in paradise. It's a lot. I want to explain it much more, and I want to look at notes and stuff, but
yeah, there's definitely a lot more, but I caught a small gist, but definitely not. I'll just listen to it sometime and actually have my own thoughts. Okay, dreams. What do you think about them?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of like the psychology stuff or whatever, and they talk about dreams a lot, and that dreams mean such a deeper thing because it's like our subconscious. We're like, where does that come from? Like, we have no idea, but I don't really experience dreams that often, and I just haven't looked into it enough to say too much about it. I think they mean something, but subconsciously, I think it's just weird. Like, why does that happen?
I think that it's God talking to us.
But some of my dreams are so random to where I'm like, what does this mean?
So, I guess I can't really say that, but I feel like there's certain dreams that it is. But if you're like under the influence of something, never think that's a dream from God. If you like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of anything, that's never from God. And if anyone's listening and you think you can come closer with God through drugs or anything, that's not the case. You have to come to him with a sober mind and a sober heart, and then you can actually experience him. But with dreams, God like talked to people and told them things in dreams.
Are we saying
in the Bible
dreams in a sense of sleeping, or
like in their sleep, like dreaming?
I believe it, and I believe that there is something behind dreams. I've just never seen it in my own life, and I've never thought too much deeper about it. But it's just funny that we're talking about this because I was listening to something about dreams. It's just like, why is this? It's something we don't have no idea. It's in our subconscious. We have no idea where it's coming from, but somehow that's like, what is pushing that in our minds? Is that in a sense? It's like your subconscious is it God? You know what I mean? Pushing that into your mind.
I really think that it might be.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I just have not. I don't know if that's how God has spoken to me yet. I think maybe that's how he speaks to certain people.
Yeah, I have not experienced like something where I can be like, yes, that's from God.
That's concrete of God working. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just have that thought of it's got to be.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because if I have been, like when I go to bed, I usually read a chapter of the Bible, and if I end my brain on that, I feel like it's a good ending, and I usually just like go to bed like right away.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, if I ended on my phone, I definitely have different dreams than when I ended on reading the Bible.
Do you experience dreams? Like, how often a week? Do you, or could you even say?
Probably like 2 times I could remember something a week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but like, when you think about it, you're reading that before you go to bed, so is that getting tapped into your subconscious for some reason? Like, you're consciously aware of it, but then you go to sleep. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have enough knowledge to talk about it.
It's a topic that no one will ever know.
I will try to learn some more about it, and
we can talk about it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because, a lot of psychologists talk about what dreams mean and that they serve a really big purpose in potentially untapping more in our lives.
Yeah. Do you believe like the third eye thing? I don't know much about it at all.
Well, I was hearing there's just like this idea. The third eye, in a sense, from what I've learned a little bit, is our consciousness or our ego. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but that's what I was hearing the other day when I was listening to something. But that's something I also will.
Yeah.
I'm down to talk about again.
Yeah, I don't know anything, but it seems like, I don't know. We can just end it on that.
Yeah, there's a podcast I was listening to, though, that was talking just about it, so I'll go back and re-listen to it.
Okay. we're getting kind of right to our point, but this is the last one that I'll ask you. I didn't show you this one, I just wrote it down the other day. How do you deal with sin?
Deal with sin. I think...
I'll elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the human body sins every day, so we need that help from God. But how do you deal with it?
I think that the way I've dealt with it is kind of just becoming more self-aware of the actual sins I'm committing. And I feel like I'm bad at asking God for forgiveness. I don't do it enough. But the more self-aware I've become, the more I see maybe I'm acting sinful, because the more God's working in my life. And so the more I see God, the more bad things I see that I'm doing also. And so it's kind of just been the best way. The more God's working in my life, the more I'm trying to eliminate sin. And so I feel like that's been the best way I've been dealing with it.
Yeah, I have found when I have been getting closer with God, He has been pointing out things in my life that I need to stop doing.
Yep.
And yeah, I just need to work on it, I guess. But
yeah,
I feel like we'll never. I mean, I don't know. I bet we can.
Can what?
We could definitely take down sin.
Yeah, I think sin will always be there, just because there's good and evil in the world, because there has to be good, or there has to be evil for there to be good,
Yeah.
So I think it's just something we can always continue to strive to get better at. And it's not really about the end goal of eliminating sin, but like kind of the journey and how far you've come in eliminating it.
Yeah, and the only way you can do it is by God helping you change your thoughts and change your mind and just everything in life.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, well, do you have anything else?
No, thanks for having me on, and
yeah,
I'm hoping we can talk about some new ideas next time.
Okay, if you just got done listening to this, thank you, and I really appreciate you guys listening, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns, or if you want to just talk, any comments.